What is the Department of Homeland Security doing to track these people, to identify them, to track them as they come in, so that if we think there's a problem, we can go find them right away?
Well, the tough thing is, again, they need to be fingerprinted, and they would get DNA and any kind of biometrics data we could. That's collected generally when people apply with the application process. And then, we have to review that. And the circumstance with these guys from Bowling Green, Kentucky, as you just mentioned, the databases don't necessarily intersect, because TDAC was the successor to what we called SEXC back when I was there, CEXC, the Combined Explosives Exploitation Cell, which early on in the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, we had FBI agents and other assets on the ground collecting data from every IED we could find, literally anything, exploded or otherwise. We would try and collect biometrics data and also signatures of the bomb makers from those devices. And it was one of those such things that ended up in the TDAC warehouse here in Virginia that was used in this investigation. And so the problem is that we're not necessarily running these applicants against every database. We're running them against known terrorist databases and through ICE's databases. Somebody mentioned TEX and others. And those databases aren't necessarily connected to every biometrics database. For instance, the Taliban in Afghanistan, we might not run an Iraqi guy against a database collected in Afghanistan, but there may be a connection.
So that, Tim, though, you're speaking to the existence and non-existence of databases when we are often checking people after the fact, right? After we're trying to track them down, but on the front end, before we say, come on in. And I understand Saddam Hussein did not have a database of bad guys that we can say, let's not let these guys in. But what are we doing to try to keep the bad guy from coming in? Is there some kind of investigative process? These guys, by the way, they had already been fingerprinted. They had already been identified, and they got in. So what do we do on the front end?
Well, on the front end, that's what I'm saying. We try and cross them against some of the databases, but not all of them. And unfortunately, we need to centralize those things. I can tell you, I have friends that have applied for status coming into the United States under the special immigrant visa program, not the refugee program. And their background checks were extremely extensive. It went on for years. And these were good guys that were helping us. So we do that process. We're just apparently not doing it for everybody. And I think, as was mentioned, the UN kind of pushes this. So because of the politics behind it, it's like this person is part of a designated group that is a refugee because of X, because of Y.